Good morning, it's Sunday morning conversation, and there's a lot to learn in conversation. This isn't just a church where you have to listen to a stupid idiot that is called himself, whatever they call themselves in churches. I forgot the word already.
Preachers, pastors.
Pastors, masters and pastors. I'm not one of them. What I'm trying to do is to get you to see little things that are very, very important. And how those little things get there and how they grow. And you don't know what's happening. You think your thoughts are your very own. There's hardly a person, I'm not saying there's nobody, but there's hardly a person who is true to themselves. And the reason why this is what I'm saying is from my experience. Nearly all your problems, and I would say 95%, and everybody's listening to me from the outer world here, and you have already learned it, that when I have to start to make sure that people who are listening all over the world, hopefully over the world, over the country, I want to just go over a little bit about what my audience here have experienced. And over several years, maybe several weeks, and sometimes several minutes, they get it. And what you're looking for is very, very simple. There's nothing difficult about what you need to do, and what you need to do is to find God. You have to find Him. He has to be your Father. I've often said about my own father, he was as close to a godly father beyond him. And that's what happened. When he died, I experienced several moments where I became aware that my father wasn't my father. But he had a father, and that father was God. He may not have known it. A lot of people have that value. They may not know they have God in them, and sweetness and kind. But the thing is, since I've said that, you are in danger if you can find your innocence or continue the innocence that never was broken since then. I must say to you that you must not think of me as perfect, that I came into the world and the world didn't come into me. So I got a good start with respect to my father, because when he died, I was walking along the street in the rain as a kid, looking for him, hoping he's not dead. And all of a sudden something said, and I'm saying this because I want to start off this way. Something said to me, don't worry. It didn't speak. I can only put it in words. It didn't speak like this. It just gave me a knowing. Your father is not your father. I'm the father of your father. I knew that was God speaking to me. But there's no words. That does not mean that I was, how can I say it? I've said before that when we come into the world comes into us. And the world that comes into us is also the way your parents behave themselves. And so when you come into the world with intuition, everybody comes into the world with intuition. And the reason why I rose up like that is to make the point strong, because that's where you go wrong. Right there at 2 years old. Even in your mother's womb, or you're just born, if your mother has an emotional relationship and is angry at her husband, etc., it affects the child. But it doesn't affect the child right away. It affects the child when she or he becomes aware. The intuition is there. It is a gift from God. He wants you to extend that intuition forever. Never learning at school, never looking to make a lot of money, but to seek the truth of your purpose in life is to love your God. Adam lost it for you. Eve still suffers from it. All the Eves that ever lived have the extension of their parents. They're walking in the shoes of their parents. And that is always the case. When you come into the world, this is very important. You come into the world with innocence, beautiful innocence, intuition. It does not function until you get to a moment when you're maybe 1 or 2 or 3. Usually young. They have more knowledge and more worldly knowledge. Well, that's not a good way of saying it. They have more pure knowledge. Intuition, meaning you don't teach me anything. I know what to say. How do I know to say? I don't know. But as you get older, you realize it's Him in you. That would be perfect. So God twisted everything around. So when Adam fell, he fell out of the paradise world where he could have lived forever. But God knew exactly what He was doing. And so in the story of Eve, she seduced him, but she didn't mean to seduce him. That's the way it is. So they were thrown out of the garden, both of them. And in those several days, several weeks, I think it was 40 years, 40 days, 40, I can't remember, forgive me, but it was 40 weeks or something like that, that the motivating force, the driving force, was not spiritual, it was animal. In other words, he now became part animal and part spiritual. They're both there. One is emotion. Emotion came from when he came out to the garden. And there was a change in him. He is no longer able to live forever. God says, if you don't eat off the tree, if you're sensible, you will live forever. That's what it was. This disconnection from Eve disconnected him, the man, Adam, disconnected him from God who created him. But that was necessary. Now here is, if I can explain it better, if you live like that for the rest of your life, you will be just like an animal. You procreate and procreate and procreate and die. Procreate, procreate, procreate and die. But the beautiful thing is that we have an awareness that something is wrong with us. And so it's the intuition that is remarkably magical. Let me see if I can make a point so I can bring it around whereby it's possible for a little child that comes into the world has a different story. The children that come into the world, they have intuition again. Every one of you listening here, how many of you, I just like to have hands up if you don't mind. How many here has had intuition when you were a little girl and a little boy? You all have it. It's a beautiful thing, because if you could hold on to it, it's a straight line to Creator. And Creator is what is your real father. Your father is not your father. Your father is a failure. Nearly all fathers are failures, except me, of course. No, I have to admit, I have been a naughty boy, like everybody else. Not as bad, but I have recovered myself quickly because I had the intuition. You didn't have to tell me I did the wrong things. I did lots of wrong things, don't worry. I'm no glorious person. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to see the mistakes if you don't justify them. That's the difference, because Adam justified himself. See that? That is the first thing. First of all, he is wrong, and then he made an excuse. The excuse is, every excuse you have means that something's gone wrong, you don't want to face it. And that's how the ego in ourselves, the dark side, makes you feel like what you're doing is good, even if it's bad. But slowly but surely, everything disintegrates. And the more you try to fix it, the worse it becomes. But let me just finish now, because I tend to go 20 different areas. It is essential, and maybe some of you have not grasped it, but you have a gift. Adam and Eve, they had 2 children. One was jealous of the other, like my brother was jealous of me, and he died. And he couldn't stop being jealous, and it killed him. I tried to help him. I tried to call him in England. He didn't want to talk to me, even though I did good things for him. Now, I wasn't disturbed by it. I just wanted to get my brother back again, but he wouldn't have it. So he had Cain and Abel. Here's the example. There's a choice. Cain killed Abel. Is to say it right? Cain killed his brother because he was jealous. He thought he should have more than his brother, or at least as much as his brother. And so, let me just, I made a point. I don't know why I made it that way. I think I can bring it up in just a little bit. But it's very important. We have a choice. Now, that choice has been disturbed by your mother. It's always your mother. You are the extension of your mother. Especially the male is the extension of the mother. And so, but I want to bring it back again and again a couple of times. When you come into the world, you have intuition. With that intuition, something serious happened. The anger that your mother had towards your father, and vice versa. But remember, you are the extension of your mother, not the extension of your father. You came from mother. Adam came from God. See? This is the other way around. So when you come into the world and you have intuition, you can make a U-turn, and you're moving towards God this time. The turn. Do you see that? Can you see the curve? It's the woman that gives birth to the child. And the child has intuition. What is God has given that woman is intuition. The day that children came into the world, he does not experience it until he is about maybe nine months old, or 2 years old. But they can see in their little minds what's wrong with their mother and what's wrong with the father. They are, am I correct? How many people are following me? Right. You saw it. But you're just a little kid. And so mother says, shut up. Or, but mom, mom, I didn't really do it. And she didn't do it. But she can't defend herself. And shut up. And shock. Shock. Here is something everybody needs to understand because it's everywhere now. Shock caused you to turn backwards to how your mother is going to go forward. Your mother will never ever understand. Your father will never understand, unless this is the Roy Masters manner of speaking, like you're listening here. When you come into the world, I have to say it many times, you have intuition. Now, I say something about intuition again. Intuition is a straight line to God. If you have faith, and intuition gives you faith, it's godly. It gives you an opportunity to go straight to understanding the meaning of life, or decide to do otherwise and live it up and want to be who you are, with money, with sex, with all kinds of pleasures. There's two kinds. You sitting here are clearly wanting to understand. All I want you to do is realize when you could not help, this is an interesting thing, you could not help when you're 2 years old, when you can see the cruelty, the injustice. I wanted to put that word, thank you very much, because I was looking for it in my head while I was talking. That's right. Injustice. The child of 2 years old can see it, but mother cannot. She thinks she's a good mother, but she doesn't know what good is. She does the best she can, but it's not good enough. I'll go back to my father and my mother. My mother gave me over to my father, but she should. So the act of giving me over to my father, who was flawless, in my opinion. It was like a canopy over the house. And so I could have faith. I had faith. I had the gift, and it went on forever. I made some mistakes, naughty mistakes, yes. I'm not different from any of you. But it was how I came into the world. And to see myself and not need anybody to tell me about that. I've just done something wrong. And I'll go on. This is not what most people do, though. I had it from the beginning. But I didn't know I had it from the beginning. I didn't know I was different from anybody else. I want you to become like me. But like me means unless you find, what was it I wanted to say? Unless you find a little child, unless you become as a little child, you can no way enter the kingdom of God. That is beautiful. I'm saying to you, please try to remember, and I don't think it's going to be very difficult for you to realize that your mother could not help herself. But the trouble is, you don't have any understanding of all this. All you have is a potential to paradise lost. A one-way street with no failure. Never a failure. Everything you do will be perfect. Everything you do leads from one perfection to another perfection, to another perfection, big upsets, big dangers, because in your innocence, and innocence is dangerous to bullies, dangerous to evil. Those who choose the other way hate, are terrified of a little child that can speak to them the way I did. I was able to overcome everything, mental, emotional, and physical. I mesmerized my sergeant major and drove him up the wall. And when I was discharged from the military, I went into a dance hall. I only went there a couple of times. And there he was at the end of the war. And guess what he said to me? "Ah! It's you!" He couldn't get to me. Excuse me, please. Literally, I demoralized him. I just did everything he said, but no emotion. He couldn't get me to own me. He couldn't get me to own me like he owned all the others. And if I was to go into war, I would have a 10 times chance of survival other than the those who have lost themselves to the screaming sergeant major or whatever, whoever is in charge. I'll be looking at both sides. There is something in the scriptures that says something about you shall not worry about the danger that lasts at night. Do you remember that one?
Valley of the shadow of death.
Can you say it?
I don't don't have it by heart, but, you know.
Can you give a little bit of it?
Yeah, 100 people will die to my right, you know, people will fall in my front, but as I go into this valley, I shall fear no evil.
That's it.
For the
That's
Lord
it.
is
Look
my
it up.
shepherd.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is.
But you have to have a different kind of energy. And it's not emotion. To teach our soldiers emotion and to be angry and to just follow the noise, charge men, and everybody runs out, I get to the same thing. But I'm aware and I have something around me that protects me. I remember, it's funny how I remember, about 30 years ago, and I have a very bad memory, about 30 years ago, if not more, I was listening to a talk show, a very well-known one. I forgot it, what it is. He was a Jewish person, and it was near the war, so it goes back further. And he says, when you came out of, what is that big like boat-like thing? It has a flap and
The
back.
Higgins boat. The Higgins boat. It's the landing craft, Higgins boat.
Yes, yes. He says, when you saw that opened and it goes down on the ground and everybody runs out, I don't know how, I can't help but forget it. He says to the Jewish man who was part of that
Unit.
yes. He says, how did you feel? He says, I felt nothing. And I never forgot that. It says something. He wasn't afraid. But how is it if you know you're going to die when you come out of it, the likeliness of you dying, which is scary. But it's not scary. That is what I took notice. How can he has 10 times the chance of being murdered, killed.
He felt like nothing could touch him.
What was that?
He said he probably said that he felt like nothing could touch him.
Oh, did you hear that too?
No, that's how I would imagine it to be.
It's exactly so.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why I mentioned that, but I know it has a place. I have never feared anything. I have never been upset, annoyed, irritated. And the secret of that, the secret of it, it took a little while for me to understand this. Don't you mind? It took a long time. I was much older. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, I realized it. I had what nobody else had. And the reason why people try to hurt me, whether in the military or wherever I went, I never lost anything. I was never afraid. I always came out right, out of the worst things. I'm going through a bad thing now. You're going to be hearing about it soon. No reaction. It will be what it will be. What I'm saying is, I want you to become like me. That doesn't mean to say your identity. I want you to become like me, which I didn't know, because when I was a little child, I never had shock. I never had a father and mother that argued. I never seen them argue. She was sweet and kind. My father could do anything. He had 11 languages. He could build a house. He could build a car. He could do anything. And in those days, it was difficult to make a living. But we have a modest house. And during the war, the beginning of the war, I had access to all of his machinery. And he just let me use it. He let me use chemistry. He let me use everything, even though I said before many times, I blew myself up with chemistry. I discovered things. I learned, I chose what I want to learn or be. And it has to come out of me. It has to come out, well, I have to say it quickly. What has remained in me from the very first day when I came into the world, that world was perfect. And therefore, I had no hatred to my parent, neither one of them. I just came into the world with intuition, and my intuition has caused me to learn tremendous amounts of information. I'm only talking to you on this particular subject, but I've written subjects on science long ahead of them. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what but they don't know what. How can I say this to make it simple, and I'll go with it. In the beginning, this is what the Bible says. An intelligent person that was the same as me wrote this. In the beginning, there was a void. Oh, that makes sense, right? In the beginning, there was nothing. And then God said, let there be light. And I looked at that. This is recently, about 10 years ago. It added to my ability to write a thesis and overcome what is knowledge to other scientists. They can't grasp, just as a point, they can't grasp that let there be light is the beginning of the universe, but there must be a God, an everlasting God for an everlasting world. An everlasting world that never stops, never stops. He's always creating, always creating. But the one thing he wants is people like me, people like you. But there's something in this I want to share with you again. I have to repeat it. Now let me go back to the fact that you came into the world. And you had, in that, like I had, is confideo, confidence. Confidence in everything. No question, I could see it, I could do it. And when I do it, I can see other things. And I see it, and I can do it. And this is my whole life. My education, educere, meaning to bring forth from within. Educere. I'm getting good at language here lately. But see my point. I'm not the same human as most people are. It is necessary for most people to find this. Otherwise, they die. We've got two kinds of people in this country. One is the left, crazy. And one is the right, decent, but not decent enough. Obama, I just don't want to be political, but I saw in him fundamental
Transformation.
to,
Transformation
what's the whole thing?
of change, fundamental transformation.
That's right. Now, that sounded like a wonderful thing, but it meant down, not up. This was a dangerous person, and all the decent people were silent. Because this is America. You got your president, all nice and quiet. I wish, please, wake up before it's too late. No, it was twice. He got it in a second time. A third time would have been gone. We'd have been gone completely. But you see, the right are decent, but not aware enough to see what I saw. And if they would have seen, they may not have liked it, but they were gracious. He won, correct? You could hear nothing. I have my pen, I have my pen, I have my pen, I have my pen, and nobody says anything. But now we have, I don't mean to be political, we have a man, thank God.
Thank God.
But you see, that kind of person who has intuition and has practiced it and suffered and practiced to overcome his suffering because he has the purpose of life in him. Like with me. You don't want to mess with me. Nobody dare mess with me. Not because I'm smart, because you're playing with my Father. He loves me. He won't let anybody hurt me. Yes, I'll feel pain. Yes, I'll feel suffering. But he teaches me, don't let this bother you. Don't get upset with it. It's painful. You will suffer. You will be hated. Now look at this. You have a president who fits that description. He is beautiful. I can't find another word. You don't call a man beautiful, but he's beautiful. But look at the others who have gone the other way. Half the country. And how did the country get that way? From Russia. With Karl Marx in the schools. I was shouting, please, please, don't let the kids, don't give the kids drugs to make them learn. You're crazy. Wake up, America. No. They just let their kids that way. So what we've got is decent people like you juxtaposed against horrible people. You can see that we are gracious. The right are gracious people, but not perfectly gracious. Perfectly gracious is something else. But at least they are able to get, if they wish, what I'm saying. And I got distracted, excuse me. I want to finish off the thought. What was the last thing I said?
Gracious people on the right.
That's right. So you saw that we allowed him to take his pen and write and write. And it becomes law. Write. And it was going down and down and down. He was purposely, it was the media that put him in. And God help us if
Hillary?
our president, Trump.
Yeah.
God bless him and blesses you. But look at the hatred. Look at the hatred. Now, I've made a circle here to make a point. I want the Christians, I want the Jewish people to understand there's not too much differences between them. But they need to give up. They need to give up studying, learning, because learning is mechanical. Learning means you have to believe it and you pass whatever it is you have to pass to get a job. What is needed is the discovery of what the Bible says. So when you read the Bible, when you open it up, and the way I do it, when you open the Bible up, which is not very often for me, it's almost hardly ever do it anymore, because it's given me all the informations that lead to informations, and it goes to, what did I say?
When you open the Bible
It
up,
goes on. The more you see, the more you can see. The more you can see, the more you can see. And so, before you know it, you know the Bible, but not because you read it. Because you opened it and said, oh, I understand that. Whoop, oh, I understand that. You have understanding, but you don't have it memory. And babble. I don't want to be motivated from the outside. I don't want anything above me to control my life. I want my Father in heaven. I did not know that I just said this, but I did not know that's what I was doing. Listening to what I have said is intuition. That word is magical. Intuition. I was able to hold on, but I didn't know I was holding on to anything. For years and years and years, I was able to never fell. I never got disturbed. I never got broken. I never suffered. There was no suffering. In the suffering, I just shrugged my shoulders. And the story goes on where I see Hitler does this. How does he do this? This was my 15 years old. 50. How could he turn these people into murderers? What's that noise?
Motorcycle.
Huh?
Motorcycle.
Oh, all right. Where was I now? What was I saying?
how could he make the German people do what he said?
Say it again.
How could Hitler control all of the German people?
Oh yes, the German people. Forgive me, I'm a bit tired today. I'm not well. I do the best I can. And that was the question I asked when I was 15 or 16. And then there was a lady in the house that was in the First World War, a friend of my mother. And she says, "You're playing with hypnosis, aren't you?" I said, "Yes." "Can you take I have a headache, can you take it away?" I said, just let me put my finger on your head. It went away. I began to look for books. There is no books. They're not any good. I discovered it for myself. And many other things, but just this one because it's relative to what I'm doing. So I built a hypnosis business. I forget what I called it right now, but I had it for 3.
The Institute of Hypnosis.
The Institute of Hypnosis. And I learned how he did it. But I thought we can reverse the problem with a positive aspect, with the same motivation. It's not so. Now I'm coming back to the fact that when you were born, now I hope I get this done right. When you were born, and this is, I gave you the story, now I'm going to go right back to the story of your little kid. When you came into the world, you had what I described about myself. I have learned everything, discovered it, and discover this discover. Endless. It's endless. It's a journey. It's a wonderful journey. It never ends. And when I go into the other side, when I die, if that's the way it goes, it will continue that way. Wonderful. Oh, wonderful. Don't teach me. Don't tell me it's there. I want to see it myself. I want to see my Creator myself, even though I don't see Him. I want to see what He wants from me. Isn't that a meaning here? And there was something else I wanted to say, so I gave it up. I was making lots of money. I went to jail for 1 month because I was doing so good to the people that came that I was affecting the business of doctors and psychiatrists. They're all coming to me. And I was doing some good because I was changing and realizing and writing books. And all this writing and all this change, I didn't do it. It was in me to write. And I said to myself, I won't put any religious stuff in here. And so I wrote all those books, and to my disturbance in the manner of speaking, I see all the things that are in the scriptures. But I've not read all the scriptures. It's all there, word for word. You see, so I have learned about God and Jesus. The reason I'm Jewish now, but I can see. You don't have to convert me. I couldn't do it because what do you call the people that run the church?
Priests.
Priests. Yeah, all the priests. They want me to become a Christian. And he said, do you know Jesus? I said, no, I don't know. How do you find him? He says, he's inside you. That's all he ever did. But fast forward. One day, I realized, I don't know how it was. Oh my God. I read a little thing, a little piece that said, if I can remember it, why call me good? There is no one but God. Only God is good. Now, the Bible tells you that, but I don't think I've ever had to be able to talk to a priest, a couple maybe, over the years. They says, become perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. And then when I had a discussion with a person who runs a big church here, we had a friendly discussion for 2 years. And I came to one thing. He says, you've got to read the Bible. I says, the Bible's always accurate. He says, yes, it's accurate, but you miss something. It says, become perfect. I see that you run away from that. He says, we run away from it because it's something not right. I said, what it is? I says, become perfect. He says, you can't be perfect. Only God is perfect. Yes, that's true. But he didn't understand the words themselves. This is one of the situations I'm trying to tell you that I beat them. I beat this person, is a very important teacher here. We had a pleasant discussion. I said, if I can remember correctly, become perfect. He says, you can't become perfect. I said, you have to become. It's not 1 minute.
Process.
It's a whole life of becoming perfect.
It's a process.
Become means to continue. See? But if he understood this, if he could become perfect, if he knew what that was, as I'm trying to speak to you right now, I'm coming back to the fact why I know it and the fact why you know it. You know now what I know. When you came into the world, here it is again. When you came into the world, the nature of your stupid mother, excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but every mother is stupid, stupefied. She's one of two things. When I grow up, I'm not going to be like my mean mother. I'm going to be the best mother. But she doesn't know what best is. She wants to do the right thing, but she doesn't know what the right thing is because she's angry. And so when she has a child herself, she tries to be too nice to them. And you see what that does. Do I have to tell you what that does? It makes the child dependent on mother and the extension of mother. And you don't want to be an extension of your mother that gave you birth to you, that caused you to have a problem. So what you need to do to make it nice and simple, since you all know that you came into the world, if I'm correct. I know I am correct, but do you see that you all see the same thing? And nobody has ever talked to you this way. And when I bring up the subject, the hands go up. Yes, I've seen it when I was 2 years old. Oh, Mom, please, get away, stop it. Don't talk to my father that way. Don't talk to your mother that way. No, she's telling you, the child is telling the truth. But she doesn't want to admit it. She wants to believe that he did something wrong. And this is what causes the child to be angry. And the minute the child is angry, don't worry about it, because I'm going to clear it up. The minute you become angry as that little child, you intimidate that little child. Do you understand quickly that when you grow older, you're a big little child, and you'll see that people will hate you like they hate Donald Trump. He's a good person, a wonderful person. They hate him. They're terrified of him. There's lots of people like that. Half the country's that way. Civil war's coming, likely. So coming back, because it goes so many ways, so many ways. So what if you want to interrupt me, yes, it's all right. I'm almost finished. See, forgive me. Oh, hold on. Yeah, hold on. What you need to understand, that at that point, when you see your mother and your father, of course, when you see your mother that way, she can't see it. She cannot or will not see it. Mostly cannot or will not. You react to the pressure. In other words, her emotion changed the journey from intuition so that the turning towards God disappears and you have doubt. How many people have doubt because of that? In other words, in your little tiny self, you actually saw with great clarity, but the power around you would not allow you to continue. But you still know, why is my mom this way? Why did she teach to be nice to my brothers and sisters and not me? Because they give in. You don't give in. And you suffer. But the suffering is a good thing. In a manner of speaking, everybody has to go through that experience. But the choice that you make causes you to experience an imprint of your mother and hate your father. But usually hating the father is a relationship with the way the mother doesn't know how to deal with the father. It's all about the woman first. And that's what I want to say. You come into the world, and the woman has, when you're inside her, or when you're outside her, you are innocent, and your mother will hate the innocence. She will feel angry without knowing why she's angry with the little children. And she's pushes to school, pushes to do that, shouts and is annoyed, and isn't calm, doesn't have God in her. But the little child has it. And when your mother was a little child, she had it. But there wasn't anybody to talk to her the way I'm talking to you. This is something new. I don't think you've ever seen any or heard anything like this, the way I'm explaining it, over and over again, each with different outcomes. One gets imprinted by the parent forever. So he or she will always be that way and wants to be that way and never wants to be corrected. On the other hand, there's something about choice that you have been upset by your mother. But being upset by your mother, I'm trying to make a good point here. You will always have that quality of wanting to talk to your mother or speak for yourself. And you can grow up looking, and your mother gets worse, your father gets worse, and you walk away. The other kids like your mother and take whatever she gives, whatever, or run away. But the thing is, what you have, if I can explain it, you have intuition. And when I say, unless you become as a little child, what was the last?
You will no ways enter the kingdom of heaven.
That's correct. Now, what I'm trying to say to you, you are that little girl. You have chosen to do the right thing. And because you do the right thing, people hate you. Correct? They hate you. What you have to understand is that they don't understand. And what you can understand with the fact that they don't understand because you've already chosen in your childhood what you are going to be. And it's not pleasant. It's difficult, in a manner of speaking. There's a lot of cruelty. But what you've done, what you are learning to do, what you're realizing, what they can't realize, that they do not forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. You will have that in your head. And if it's not in your head, Roy Masters wants you to have it in your head if you've lost it. And because in this moment, for my friend here, you can recognize what I'm saying and see, oh, I've missed that. You've seen what you've missed. Bingo, you're on the track again. But that's not so with most people. But you have to suffer a lot. But suffering is a good thing, because if you can suffer and not hate the hurter, because the hate the hurter is the child that was broken and does not know who they are anymore. See that? All right. Now, question.
I have to, I have a admission of sorts. I missed it. And I remember a number of months ago, I said to you how how you can have an intuition and the intellect will convert it and talk to you in your head. And I've been subject to that. You know, I was unaware of it, and it's like just a few words in the head. Something you said a few weeks ago, how you were singing to yourself and you had words in your head, and I really wasn't aware of that. And now you know, when you guys told me I had this emotion in me, and I went for years without recognizing that for what it was. And I'm really happy that that was seen. I should have seen it myself, I think.
Well, it doesn't matter how you get
No,
it.
it doesn't.
In many ways, different. You come back to it. But you see, something very small is necessary. And I know I had to spend a lot of times making more and more examples. But I think I've said enough to see that you are on a good journey. And you have chosen it, even though you may be degraded, even though you're hurt. There's still something in you that wants to you know, it cannot, once the child decides, why is my mother this way to my brothers? Why is, you know, that kind of thing? Why am I out in the cold? Why does she not like the bad guys? The person sees that the mother loves the ones that obey her.
Yeah,
That's the worst.
that happened in my family.
That's it.
Yeah.
But the tendency, if I can repeat it over again, it's so important, I'm not sure if I can say it many more times. You have chosen. There's something about you as a little child is hurt. It also has resentment in it. But it's easy to talk to you with this way as to, why are you so upset still? You have, all you need is the word forgive is not a good word. All you need is to see that your mother didn't see and let her go. This is a little song. Let your mother go. She never had a husband that was a man. If there was a man, like I am a man to my wife, she doesn't listen to me. I don't care. For 64 years, I will be waiting, hoping that she will see it before she dies. I'm not angry with it. I'm not disturbed by the mistakes she makes. See? She's sleeping there a little bit. Do you understand where I'm going with it? You could have that little child again, unless you become a little child again, which you can. I'm sharing that with you. You can have it again, and you want it. It has meaning. And what's giving you the meaning is magical. The meaning is God is moving through you now, and it isn't her anymore. It's Him forever. Hold on to it. Don't allow yourself to be irritated. Be strong. He loves you when you're strong and stand up with strength like our president. Okay? Am I making it clear?
Yes. The intuition that you speak of, we experienced as child.
Can you speak louder?
The intuition that we've all experienced as children,
Yes?
that's the manifestation of faith.
Yes? That's where it is.
Yes. I believe your experiences as a hypnotist was a compensation. It was a remedy for people that had lost it. But I find that this is something I do internally.
Say it again?
I self-hypnotize myself
I
by
don't
these
think you
little
can. You go-
traumas throughout the day where I'll get lost in a judgment. Because when I was young, that was the training I got, is to judge, to hate. So that was supplanting, that circumvented me even experiencing the intuition. Because I was judging.
Yes, it knocked out the good side,
Yeah,
in a manner of speaking.
correct.
Yes.
So now I find, because, I've been so ambitious all my life,
Trying to make good. but
Trying-
don't know what it is.
trying to follow the programming I've received all my life.
You don't want to.
No. So now the challenge is I get bombarded by all these little temptations daily. And it's an exercise, and I understand what you're saying about it. It is kind of painful. You have
Yes.
to let all these things go and not go down that rabbit hole. You have to just let it go and not use the ego you've been using all your life. And that's painful.
But may I say something? Or you want to continue?
No, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Oh, I just hold on then, because you may want to talk to me again.
Okay.
You have seen, you're still a little child inside. And you can't overcome what's overcome you yet. But you wish to come back to what it was when you were a little child.
Correct.
See? And in the scripture again, I bring it again, unless you become again, add the word, come again as a little child, you have a second chance. Good people have a second chance. You're innocent. And so all you need to do is to overcome the problem that was put in you by the pressure she put into you while you were small,
Right.
and could not stop it. You are not really a bad person because it's put in you and you're broken.
Right.
And you're struggling, and you want to be a good. You want to find the meaning, and somehow you get lost, and you're just lost here. But all you need to do is to let your mother, in this case, I don't want you to judge her. Judgment is mine. That's not your
Correct.
not your world. Judgment is mine. And there's another one. Don't forgive. Don't forgive your parent. You are God. You're playing God.
Correct.
Got to be very careful. What you need to do is, in your older age, look back and say, my mother did not know what she was doing.
True.
That's all. And once you see she didn't mean it, and she didn't know it, whatever, and she dies, that's her fault. You went on to look for the answer.
Yes.
And you came here, and this is a rare place. God forgives you. All you need to do is see that your mother didn't know what she was doing, and there was nobody there to tell her, as I am telling you.
Right.
So don't disconnect yourself from her as you become, again, as an older person, as a little child. You go on your way and let her go. Can
Correct.
you do that?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yes, it is.
Doesn't it fill your heart?
It
touch it?
gives me purpose.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be fine. You'll be able to see the anger instead of struggling with it. Oh, there it is again. Attitude. See? Oh, there it is again. Here's my opportunity to hold my ground.
Thank you.
See? I win. I win everything. There's something that's going to happen to the foundation soon. And it's very dangerous. Forces that don't like what I do. So it doesn't bother me one iota. That's all. It's going to be as it will be. You see, the beauty of this is you never have to make any decisions. I don't make decisions. God is putting His purpose, it's a proper word. He puts the purpose in your head. That's where you want. That's where you need to go. From Him and grow up to Him more. The perfect life, the everlasting life. The redemption of any mistakes you made in the past. Because you've been looking and you are finding. And if you can just let your parent go and have the practice of letting everybody else go, they can't get to you. You have a shield around you. And that shield is effortless. You don't have to have any effort for it. I could stand up to a big guy who wants to kill me and make him back down just by looking at him and just not reacting to him. But the energy coming from me is going to dissolve the wickedness of that person. The bully is a coward. And all bullies are coward. And they all have emotions. They all have parents that make put wickedness in them, and they do to others what was done to them. Hitler did the same thing. The more he killed, the more power he got. The more power he got, the more he killed. He killed for power. And so he hates good. He gets powerful on evil, cruelty. It's a lift, a sort of glorious lift. Look what I've done. I've killed all these people. That's how you get. That's evil. But now we come to our story. Right back to our story. America, you have Christians are decent and go to church. And Jewish people, you have your teachers, rabbis, but they don't know what the hell they're doing. You don't want to go there to listen to a sermon. What you need is to come back and find God inside yourself that you had as a little girl and got imprinted by the nature of your mother, so that you are subject to the world around you, but deep inside you have problem, conflict. It goes away. Don't go to church. This is a church. Excuse me. This is a church. But look what kind of church it is. I'm sharing with you. You don't need me anymore. I want you to do to others what I did to you. And that is, because you're the extension of me, and if I can just put Jesus into the picture, I'm the extension of him. And he's the extension of his Father. Excuse me. See that? That is a system that can take over the whole world if it's understood that easy. So all the people on the right are not right enough. You need to come together with what I just said. You had an intuition, and it was kind of destroyed, but somehow you held on to it, and you wanted to find out, why am I doing this? I don't like what I'm doing. Blah, blah, black sheep have any wool. You especially, correct?
Correct.
That's it. Yeah. That's nice. So how have you understood? I guess there's not much you can say about this. I've covered it pretty good. You look different.
Me?
Yes. You look like you're coming around.
I am.
It's beautiful to see this because you were so sick for many years. Am I correct?
Correct.
Isn't that sweet?
It's amazing. And the simplicity of it all is mind-blowing.
You what?
The simplicity of it all is mind-blowing because
Yeah.
you fight so hard for something, and you've said it to me over and over, and I didn't get it, But today I've got it, and I'm
I see
I'm
it.
happy.
I saw it in you. It's beautiful.
It is. And I appreciate you from the
Come here a minute.
depths of my
Come here a
soul.
minute. Come here a minute. Come here. You've lost some weight.
A little bit.
That's good. You're squeezing me.
I know.
That took a long time,
Yes, it did.
but she came.
Please sit. Sit.
Any other questions? We did good for the bad cold I got.
Your timing's good. You can cut off if you want an hour and a half.
What is that?
You're an hour and a half right now.
All right. Well, I think I go home. I'm not feeling well. I did the best I could. Did you have any other question? Or you,
I'm good. Thank you so much.
you have it, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And you can go home with it, and you'll be a different person.
Yes, sir. Yes, I will.
You come a long way.
Yes.
and you got it first time.
I-
It's so
I'm-
beautiful, it's so simple.
It is.
And I just want to say, let your mother go.
Correct.
Because she's caused the father, if he's no good, she's a appeaser to him and made him worse.
Right.
See that?
Right.
Or he's an appeaser to her, and she hates him for his unmanliness.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
She needs the love of a man, but
Yes.
that it has the love of man has to have authority, and authority is given by Jesus or God, the Creator, and the woman will always know if that man is real,
She never experienced that.
and she knows when he's not real, when he's weak,
Right.
when he wants something,
Right.
all he wants is sex and
Right.
feeling.
Right.
It's horrible on the woman. It makes her a whore. That's what it does.
Yes. Yes, sir.
See.
Wrap it up now.
Like a laser.
Can you do a wrap on that and say thank you very much?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Support the foundation if you can. And go to FHU.com. And when you get to FHU.com, there's a list of things, just a small list, which says free. Pick free, and 2 objectives come up. One is the 7-minute meditation. When you finish with that, it's all free. You go to you have to go to it every time you want it, but it's there, right for you, everybody. And then the other one is be still and know. That's the second one, and you don't need me anymore. You're free. Thank you.